So very nice to see you. Nice to be here. This is exciting. And I'm going to try to frame this in why I'm choosing that word exciting. So let's do something before we kind of go on this journey. Let's decide that you and I, because it's just the two of us, we're going to go for a walk. And my task is to just point out things that are on the path. Your journey here, or your purpose, is you arrived because you wanted something. Would that make sense? I'm here, I'm interested, I want to know what he knows or he's going to point to. And we're just going to go for a walk. Nice day, comfortable weather, pleasant. So would you just take a breath? There's no teaching here. There's just walking along this path and beginning to notice. Would that be okay? Now, the reason I asked that question, would that be okay, is as soon as you say yes or no, we're in agreement. And everything is about agreements. What happens is we go into this year of 2026 and then into 2027, which is going to be even more amazing. Paying attention to what's along the pathway is going to be a choice, not an obligation, not a fearful thing, or it's just simply a choice. So let's see where we can go with this. So I'm going to frame this in this way. There are two things about this journey that we're on. The first thing is it is 100% about you. Everything that's going to be pointed to is being pointed to for your choice. It's like, oh, that's interesting. Let's move along and let it go. Or that's interesting. I'm going to pay attention to that and put it in my backpack for this journey through 2026. Would that be okay? Oh, another part of the agreement. So, in order to look at 2026, let's kind of step back and look at 2025. And right about the equinox in the springtime in 2025, a lot began to appear. And one of the things that began to appear, and some of you will remember this conversation, and there's over 1,600 of you that are kind of wandering along this path with you and today. So one of the things that happened is we began to notice that there was a sound, and we're going to play in sound and light, but there was a sound. And the sound was really pretty fascinating because it sounded like, and we defined it as listening way over there. I'm starting to hear something, but the hearing something is pretty significant. And we kind of defined it as hundreds and thousands of buffalo, bisons running. And it was a sound that really wasn't heard with the ears, it was heard with the heart. And it was not chaotic in any way, but it was this rumbling that was coming, and it was loud and it was there. And it progressed all through this year. And so as we go into 2026, one of the things about that sound is it's become a little more orderly. And not that it wasn't in the first place, but it's begin to be now like thousands of wild horses all running for joy. They're running. They're thoroughly enjoyed in what they're running. Can you feel them? They're excited and they're just accelerating. So as we go into this year, excitement and acceleration are two of the aspects that we're starting on this little walk to point to. So take a breath and feel thousands of horses, wild horses, all just running. Pleasant day out in wide open territory, and they're running. If you can align your feeling with that, and if it's a sense of joy in some level, you can begin to appreciate the beauty. Another one of those words that's going to slip into the vocabulary is beauty of this massive energetic movement. If that can be held going into this year, the ability to begin to choose this third dimensional, fifth dimensional aspect we'll point to in a little bit. This aspect of when I say the word disruption is going to be a very big part of 2026. Do you hear disruption as, oh no? Or do you hear disruption as, hot damn, this is great. All that stuff that I've been holding in my backpack, the I'm not okay, nobody likes me, I don't deserve, is about to be disrupted, released, smoothed out, disappear. So disruption just becomes one of the first aspects of this pointing. How do you choose is going to be a very large part of 2026. How do you choose? Because you're going to have the opportunity to play the game of is the glass half full or half empty? If you can play the game of half full, what's beyond this? What's exciting? What's possible? What's the opportunity? Why is this presenting itself to me? And you can take a breath and step back. You're going to be very fascinated by the fact that when you start to really re-examine it a second time, it's no longer there to be re-examined. How would that be? You mean it's going to be gone? Yeah, it's going to be gone. Well, let me back up. Is it going to be gone? Yes, if I choose to let it be gone. Versus if I choose to argue with it, why is it there? How come they didn't like me? And why did my mother say that 40 years ago? Take a breath. If you can let that go, 2026 is going to be a really fascinating ride. So, so first, this 2025, this sound happened. One of the other things is 2025 was really set in an interesting set of colors, blue. And that blue progressed, and we'll talk about that in a few minutes, but that color blue, quiet, serene, comfortable, if allowed. What's happened going into 2026, the color is shifted. And the color now is an ice blue. Now, it's an interesting combination of colors that you're beginning to find yourself surrounded in, whether you notice it or not. So this ice blue has a transparency to it. It's just simply very much there. It's a clear, transparent color blue. It's smooth, it's steady, and it reflects without separation. Now, those might be new words to some of you, but basically, you're beginning to see what is there to be seen, not with distortions or separations. And in the steadiness, in the smoothness of it, it begins to be something you can put your attention on and play with. Now, we're just setting up, we're beginning to talk about what's along this path. One of the aspects of this color is it's very electrical. And something that's been referred to, most of you have a reference to this in Kabbalah languaging, in metaphysics languaging, the tree of life. And that tree of life is your nervous system. And so as this alignment begins to shift, that electrical impulse is going to play out in your nervous system. We'll get to this in a moment. But there's much transforming within you. You are changing. And so I said two things we're going to kind of frame today with. You, everything is about you. And the other one is this level of light that we're talking about that's now coming in. This level of light, I'm going to frame it as the day is dawning. And so you know this space when, in fact, Roxanne and I got up this morning early and it was very dark. And she made a comment. She said, there's no color. It's all dark and it's getting lighter and it's getting lighter and it's gray because in Washington State it's gray. But it's getting lighter and it's gray. And then all of a sudden she said, I can see the color in the flower over there, and the plant is now becoming green. And in a way, the day is dawning going into 2026. Your day is dawning. And so, as this begins to unfold, one of the things that happens is the shadows begin to be both exposed and dissolved. So 2026 is a pretty big year because much is going to be let go. And I'll explain this even more so in a moment. But this word disruption is a really valuable word to begin to explore here because the disruption is not so much about the problem or I thought I had it all together and then I've been interrupted. My reality is interrupted. Your reality is going to be interrupted in 2026. But if I give attention to it from the problem is, that reality disruption is going to be potentially clumsy. If I can step back and go, wow, this is really new, and allow the disruption to be observed in a present time moment. I'm observing what does this mean? Take a breath, step back, observe. You're going to find that there are multiple choices that are going to be presented for navigating the disruption. The whole pathway that's unfolding as this light is illuminating is really about dissolving the shadows, dissolving the baggage, getting rid of a lot of the patterning that we hold that says, I'm not okay, I don't deserve, my mother didn't like me, people laughed at me, fill in your own blank. You know what I'm talking about. But what if that story wasn't your story in the first place? It was just something you experienced, chose to define as, oh, this means they don't like me, and then chose to lock it into place and then carry it with you going forward. Would that make any sense? Now, you probably know somebody like that. Probably you didn't do that, but you probably know somebody. So another breath. So this disruption is going to be presented in two different formats. One of them is going to be related to the third dimensional reality, and the other one is very much you moving into this fifth dimensional reality. And this fifth dimensional reality begins to be something pretty much right here where we're walking along this path. It's pleasant day. It's comfortable. It's just you and me. And we're having kind of conversation as we go along. There's no drama, and the day is very nice. Take another breath because we're in that changing process, just kind of in the process of talking back and forth here. I should say I'm going to end with today with some question and answers. So if something pops up along this little journey we're walking on, make a note, ask questions, happy to answer them. The third dimensional reality, the one that we walk around in day out, is in the process of dismantling. Now, that's hard to hear when you look at things like authoritative leadership, people being disrespected, etc., etc. And you're seeing it, and it's for most of you most likely unpleasant because I'm feeling this disruption in a reality that I think should be filled with well-being, joy, happy, respect, dignity, kindness, gratitude, cooperation, because that's who I am. Oh, I'm talking for you. Does that make any sense? That's who you are. And so I'm watching something happen in my physical walking around world that is uncomfortable to me because that is not reflecting of me. What I'm doing is I'm allowing that to reflect back to me as a reality, and I'm choosing, even though that would not be your word, to give attention to what I don't want more than giving attention to how I can influence the circumstance and change it. Now, take another breath. Now, let me say that part again. I'm paying attention to what I don't want and becoming it just by holding my attention on it. Simply meaning I look at that and I feel uncomfortable. I feel pain. I feel withdrawal. I feel uncomfortable. I feel fear. What you're really doing is you're in your universe as the observer. You are watching the creation that is in your universe, reflecting back to you in a way that is not where you want to be. Now, let me see if I can make more sense of that. Congratulations. It's like, wow, where'd that word come from? Congratulations, because you're becoming conscious of becoming conscious of things that you have been unconscious of for a lot of years. Do you think what you're looking at now is brand new? Or has it been masked in the shadows for some length of time? Now, again, another breath, because in a way, this walking along this path right now is all about you going, oh, I get it. And as you're observing it without engaging with it, it's beginning to dissolve. Now, I'm going to make more sense of that in a minute, but would you allow that to be a possibility? Is the possibility I'm looking at something I don't want, and when I put my attention on it and grab a hold of it, I don't like what I feel. Whereas if you were able to kind of look at what you didn't like and allow it for the moment, the ability to begin to reshift it into another form is what 2026 is all about. So let me take it to another way. You have three roles that you are in the process of playing, becoming aware of, becoming conscious of as we go into 2026 and especially into 2027. 2026 is setting up 2027, so great stage to play on. 2026, you are the observer, you are the creator, and you are the creation of your observation and creation. Now, pause with me for a moment and let me say that again. You're observing what you are creating, and you are walking in the creation, experiencing it all simultaneously. Now, you've been doing that forever, but it's been unconscious of being unconscious. And so 2026, this level of light that is shining in into the shadows is going to be dissolving a lot of the shadows, particularly if you can recognize this is leaving rather than grabbing a hold of it and, oh no, not this again, giving attention to what doesn't feel good and making it real in the reality. Now, does that make any sense? Yes, no, help me out here. Okay. Now take another breath because just kind of where we're playing here, because all we're doing is playing, walking along the path, nice day. I'm just pointing out some things. And where you just said, yes, I get it, I see it, conscious of becoming conscious. But the part that you're not paying attention to is a whole lot of what you have just become conscious of in that unconscious space. It doesn't have to show up and go, do you remember this checklist of all these things? It just begins to have, ah, yes, and a happy sensation to it, and the shadows dissolve. Would that be okay? Would you like to live that life where you don't have to work really hard at dissolving those shadows? It's just a recognition of this has nothing to do with me in real terms. 2026 is going to allow you to be the observer, the creator that goes, oh, I didn't realize I was doing it that way. It's going to be as simple as recognize that there is crumbs on the table that haven't been wiped off, and you just notice them. Oh, is that a disaster, or do you just grab the sponge, the cloth, and wipe them off the table and get about your business? Yeah, another breath. So the third dimensional reality is dissolving. It's falling apart. It's going into disruption. It is ending. Now, that's hard to hear if you're hearing it from third dimension because there's lots of inequity in the system. But the more you allow that to be not the attention point, not the problem is, the worry is, the pain is. See, all you're doing is observing it from the heart, and it's just a story. Now, let's expand this a little bit. You are the observer of the movie that you have created to experience. Now, that puts it back on you in a little different way. See, you are playing out your movie. And all of the other things that are going around are the props and the staging and the co-actors and the staff that we hired to basically put on the movie. You are not the movie. You're the creator of the movie. And you're wandering around in your movie. But what happens right here, 2026, the amount of electricity, electromagnetism, we'll touch it on in a minute, that's coming into the nervous system and into the consciousness allows you to go, cut, stop. We're going to rewrite this scene of the movie. Would that be useful? Now take another breath. So the intention here is to kind of walk along this path, yes, you and me, and provide some awareness that might be chosen or might be walked past. This aspect of being the creator is going to be a very interesting space to experience in 2026 if you stay on the path and just kind of be fascinated by what you're running into. Now, is that going to be easy? Not necessarily. Simple, yes, but simple is not necessarily easy. So it does require an awareness of I'm just in my movie rewriting the script in a manner of speaking, and the shadows are all disappearing. Now, let me shift it a little bit and say it from a different point of view. If you do nothing but walk this pathway and enjoy the flowers, enjoy the walk, and I'm going to encourage you to literally go for walks. What happens is the amount of light that's coming into your nervous system does not get interfered with by putting your attention on, oh no, this is terrible, or that's not okay, or this is wrong. All you're doing is creating an interference wave for the light to settle comfortably. Would that make any sense? No, I'm just trying to be simple. So the answer is it's leaving. And if you don't grab a hold of it and argue with it, you will not remember you had that thought 5 minutes ago. Now, let me say that a little bit differently. You are in the process of losing your memory. Now, what I don't mean Alzheimer's or dementia. I'm simply saying you have aligned yourself with your movie and you have created your movie and you have scripted your movie and you're now beginning to realize this movie is an old movie that doesn't need to be presented in this format. If you can hold your attention on well-being, joy, ease, buoyancy, laughter, lightness, and go through your moments of your day, you're going to find that when somebody says, tell me about your life to this point, you are not going to remember a good amount of it. Now, that's not meant to be something bad. You're not losing your memory in terms of, oh, what am I going to do? You are beginning to remember yourself in a way that's going to be disruptive. Hmm, there's that word again. Disruptive. So what do I mean by this in this context is as the who I am not falls away, you're at a point where you're going to begin to remember who you are. Now, this remembering is all about ascension, acceleration, well-being, a new realm of consciousness, healing the fractures of the earth, beginning to change experiences that you are holding on to that are Atlantean experiences that you haven't let go of. Now, I'm just making a singularity when I point to Atlantis, but we can talk about that too in a few moments. So the script that I have written for my movie is now beginning to be illuminated such a way that I begin to have a sense of, do I need to continue with this script? And the answer is choose. The answer isn't yes or no, because you're the creator of the movie. Now take another breath, because if you notice yourself right now, your body is in a little different state. Your focus is in a little different state than we started. And if you take a deep breath and just relax, I'm going to suggest that if I said to you, tell me about your movie from where you were when you arrived 30 minutes ago, you will not be able to do that. That is how fast 2026 is going to allow the light to clear the shadow patterns. Another breath, because you're just sitting in it right now. Now, all we're doing is just walking down this path, and I'm pointing to, look at that. Do you want to hold on to that? And you're going, no, thank you. And that's now gone. And if I said, well, what was that? You'd go, I don't remember. In fact, I'm not even sure what you're talking about. Would that be a useful place to begin to experience your walking around day to day? So the observer, the creator, and the creation, that's what you are. Now, this is where it gets interesting too, because see, you have the choice of beginning to rewrite the script. And in the rewriting of the script, it's just like writing a story, and you write a sentence and then you write a paragraph. And then you realize one of those words in the sentence doesn't work right. It's not a good noun or not a good adjective or not a good adverb. And if I substitute one word, joy, for fear, my paragraph takes on a whole different configuration. You're in the process of rewriting your story. Now, this is where it gets very interesting also, is because one of the things that we've said in Mastering Alchemy, just kind of set the stage for Mastering Alchemy, is we kind of told a funny story, which was that when the creator said, I'm going to create something new, you pushed your way to the front of the line and said, send me. You remember that part? Send me. And the creator said, hold on a second, let me explain this to you, because you're going to put a bag over your head and you're going to go down there and you're going to wallow around and you're going to forget me and you're going to forget you and you're going to try to figure out how to get back here. You remember that? And you said, hot damn, this sounds like a great thing. How deep into that darkness can I go? Creator smiled and said, knock yourself out. And you have. But the interesting part of the story is you are now beginning to have access to remembering the moment before you put the bag over your head. Now, it's beginning to just come to you in this illumination of this level of light. 2026, 2027. There's going to be a lot of in 2027, like, oh my God, I'm just going to do it this way. You're going to begin to drop pieces of your perceived reality in such a way that what happened before you put the bag over your head is what you're going to begin to access. 2026, unfolding. 2027, more of that. So this is all about this level of light that is now coming into your nervous system. This light is electrical, it's electromagnetic, but it has a high voltage aspect of electricity. Now, just hear that not as a problem or not as something that's not handleable. What it is, it's illuminating. Now, I'm going to say what I said again. When you put your attention on my problem is, you create an interference wave that just gets in the way of this flow of light. A lot of your I'm not okay that I'm pointing to is going to simply disappear in your 2026 reality. If we could take this movie of you and me walking down this path today and come back and visit it next year, you're going to go, where did that story come from? That doesn't make any sense to me because you're not going to remember the you that's sitting here at this minute. Again, I say that's one, a choice, and two, it's not a problem. But there will be moments where there will be confusion in the disruption. Now, what I mean by confusion is all of a sudden, this is who I am, this is my life, this is how it works, isn't sitting there in front of you in that same way. And you're going to begin to step into things that require a pause to your observation and a breath, and it just will settle in. And all of a sudden, you'll be walking along, and I'll say to you, where did this new thing come from? This new expression of you, this joy that hasn't been there. And you're going to look at me and say, what are you talking about? I've always had this level of joy. You're going to forget who you are not, and you're going to begin to remember who you are. 2026. Now, are you going to remember that in an hour from now? It's like, oh yeah, I did this thing with this guy, whatever his name was, a little while ago today, and I don't remember what we talked about. Well, you will. Pieces here and pieces there. But the storyline is the day is dawning, the shadows are disappearing. You are beginning to remember what you have forgotten in such a way that you will not remember that you forgot it ever. Whose story are you liking here? You like my story or do you like your story? Which story would you like to play in? Now, there's another piece to this that makes it all even more spectacular. Masculine and feminine, two constructs of energy, complementary yin and yang, perfectly harmonically layered together when allowed. But we haven't allowed them. We have interfered with the flow and the structure, masculine being structure, feminine being flow. The first expression of creator was awareness. The creator became aware of itself. And the first impulse of thought was to create. And out of the oneness of the creator thought your name. And you appeared in the creation of one, the creator. The thought, the awareness, the thought. That thought actually was love. There is nothing else in that first thought but love. Love is a vast word that means everything that is in creation. It doesn't mean, oh, I love you, I love my dog. Vastly more. The second expression, once the thought gets thought, the feminine basically says, here are all the possibilities to bring that thought into completion, into, yes, this is what I want. Do you know that feeling where you find it's like, oh, yeah, this is it? That's love being completed into creation, 2026. Now, what I mean by that, 2026, is this electricity that is going to run through your nervous system is going to start to accelerate at a level that begins to provide this transparent ice blue color into a vibrational frequency of blue that is very, very electrical. Thoughts are electrical. The feminine side is movement, emotion, feeling, movement. The thought begins to be this level of intelligence amplifying everything I just got done saying, amplifying into an intelligence where you remember the you that is you before you put the bag over your head. 2026. Accelerating, exciting. 2026. But it's the feminine, that aspect of flow that allows the yes. And there's a weaving. Within you, there is a golden thread of light that runs right through the core of you. It's always been there. But with the electricity, it's beginning to amplify. With the dawning of the new day, this golden thread of love is beginning to amplify. And what it's doing is it's allowing this electric blue color that is beginning to be the intelligence to weave with that golden thread. It is a presence, and why the solstice right now has been the whole focus of 2025. We're moving towards this solstice. It kept saying this winter solstice is a point of transition, magnitude-wise, very high, very big transition. And it was like, okay, well, I'll watch it, I'll watch it, I'll watch it. But it's this space where it's not just the winter solstice from a religious point of spirituality. This is the moment on the planet where all of the religions come to a focus of love. Just the nature. This is what it's all about, love. Christmas, Jesus, Magdalene's, Mary, all of that energetic. However it's defined, it's about love. And the love in this space becomes harmonic because people don't argue with love, argue in love. They may have opinions about 3D, them and us, but not with this sense of aligning with most in different religions, the aspect of love. The weaving of Yeshua and Mary Magdalene's lineage is in that golden thread being woven with that electric blue light. And it's beginning to resonate in the pineal center. It's resonating in something, for those who don't know the language, the soul star that sits above you, where the soul, the oversoul, the Christed oversoul, the aspect of the higher self, and you intersect in a way that it resonates in the heart. And that aspect of you and Gaia, you and the earth, you and the elementals in the earth star resonate. And that golden thread and electric blue light are running between the core of you, the center of your heart, and that soul connection and the earth connection. And 2026 is about that level of love and intelligence amplifying within your space. Now take a breath and let that just, don't hear that as truth. There is no truth. Truth is what you decide you wish to hold your attention on, not something that I say. So take a breath You might even just close your eyes, and would you feel that sense of love and intelligence beginning to amplify within your awareness? It's not intellectual, it's a knowing. And one more breath, and then would you just, if you would like, would you choose to be pleased with yourself, creator? Because you've done a great job. The source creator is amused. Yeah, you wandered around in that darkness pretty well. You learned everything that was there to be learned, collectively human consciousness. And you've created a field of reference that had never been created before to be known. So even in your old movie, you've been very successful in your creation. But it's time for the new movie to begin to take hold. So another breath. Would you be pleased with yourself, like yourself? Would you allow yourself to be okay? And let me pause there. Let me turn this over to Roxanne and answer some questions. The theme, the light is expanding. It's all about you, the creator, the observer, the creation to be enjoyed. That's where this next year and future is going. So, with that said, I think if you would like to put, oh no, I'm going to butcher this. Roxanne, would you like to comment on what is required here?
Yes, all you have to do is type your question in the chat and then I'll ask it for you. It's a little cleaner that way, I think. So we also have questions that people have emailed in prior to this, so I'll mix it all up for you. So, Jim, the first question is from Becky. How do you remember to step back when you're in the middle of being attacked verbally? Is it the more you do it, the easier it will be to remember?
Well, it is a choice to start with. It's a recognition that I have capacity, authority, seniority to simply be in present time and choose how I wish to engage. Now, we've created a lot of habits and a lot of beliefs that I'm not okay, I'm worried about, they're going to abuse me, etc., however that's formed. That's the stuff I'm talking about that's going to start to break up. The space that you want to begin to pay attention to, and gets interesting, is what words do you hold? Now, Mastering Alchemy, those who played there, has been word-based forever, meaning certain, capable, gracious, kindness, dignity, on and on. Every one of those words is a structure and a flow. And when you start building three words together, you create a structure, a triangle of this certain, capable, happy. It begins to be a feeling that has density to it. If you haven't paid attention to selected words, they just kind of, oh, I would like to be happy, but if you would start bringing in a word, just a word, happy, certain, capable, seniority, big word, and you would just sit with it, feel it. One of the things that happens is, how do I say this simply? It's as if you've got threads. Let's say each one of those words is a thread, and you've scripted yourself in such a way that you have forgotten some threads, or you have left out other threads, or you have not given much prominence to certain threads. What if you could just reweave your tapestry into a different patterning? And if you kind of step out of the platform of 3D into the platform of 5D, ease, beauty, joy, buoyancy, lightness. If you can move over to that feeling, and then begin to say, what words don't I hold? And I'm not talking about the word, I'm talking about the frequency of the thread. And you start weaving those together, that electric blue, brilliant golden thread. The intelligence and love are the fertile ground for those words that are your natural state of being: gracious, kind, seniority, certain, capable, commanding of your presence, enjoy. That's the who you are before the bag got put over your head. That's going to start to seed and grow in that fertileness of this electromagnetic blue and gold that I just got done talking about. Hope that helps.
Okay, Jim, this next question is from Walter. Walter sent it in earlier. Walter's in level 2. You mentioned addictions in the description for this. Could you expand on how those are changing or ending or what?
Yeah, great. Thank you for that question. So, one of the things that is kind of structured into this light beginning to clear away the shadows, one of the shadows that is going to disappear more and more is addiction. Now, addiction spreads across a wide frame of things, alcohol, drugs, sex, all kinds of things for addictions. But it's the other addictions. It's the addiction that has you going to a repeated anchored pattern and replicating it over and over. I'm not okay. I'm not okay. I'm not okay. That's an electromagnetic configuration that basically, once it becomes an erratic vibration, anger, let's call it hate, jealousy, rage, resentment, those are erratic vibrations that we have all experienced in 3D. And a lot of times we have misinterpreted what that vibration is. You see, the ability to be not okay does not exist in your reality. You cannot be not okay. It's impossible to be not okay. But what we do is we tease ourselves into, let me try on being not okay. They don't like me. I'm not okay. I'm not smart. I'll never succeed. Nobody wants me. And so you repeat this pattern over and over and over. Now, you don't, but you probably know somebody again, over and over and over. And what happens is it lands. It becomes anchored in the space of unconscious, of being unconscious. And so it becomes an addiction. It becomes a repetitive pattern that I do over and over and over. Does that make any sense to anybody? So the patterning in this light is this one is not requiring you fully to be completely engaged with it and choosing. It's one of those layers of light that are one of those shadows that are just going to begin to dissipate. And so that's exciting. Over the next couple of years, you're going to see, and you're already watching it in these young kids. These young kids come in wired very differently than most of you that are sitting here. And the wiring patterns are such that that aspect of some addictions, it's like watching these young kids, they're not interested in alcohol. They're not interested in sex. They're not interested in a lot of the drug structures. And it's like when everybody who pays attention are shaking their head, what's going on here? The addictions have been removed from their space. Now, hear that softly, not as a truth, just as a interesting step back and start to notice people you know who used to do a certain pattern, used to respond in a certain way. As you begin to get quieter and you stand around them, you're no longer empowering them to throw a rock at you because you no longer have a big catcher's mitt up that says, throw rocks at me. Do you know people who throw rocks? Soon as you basically stop playing, their addiction begins to be eliminated from their experience that they're in. So addictions is going to become a fascinating piece that has multiple prongs into the societies.
Jim, I have a question that several people are asking in a similar way, and what I'll do is I'll read Julia's, and she's asking, what's the difference between non-engagement of the external yucky energy through choice discernment versus the hot potato avoiding what is uncomfortable as a kind of gaslighting? In
Yeah,
other
great
words, how,
question.
okay.
Got it. So
Yeah.
one of the things that unconscious reactionary nature that you have built in third dimension is very locked into place. Whether it's called fear or hesitation or doubt or uncertainty, what happens when you begin to see, we'll call it a matching picture, you see something you don't like and you've recognized it to the point where you don't like it either, matching pictures. What happens is we have a tendency to step back, doubt, be uncertain, avoid, hide. That's the pattern. The flip side and the positive side is step forward, possibility, opportunity, engagement, experience. But the question is valid. How do I know? How do I get out of that? Those of you playing and mastering alchemy are a whole set of tools that kind of set the template up for having a answer to I'm on my side of the rose, or I'm able to observe that and move it off with fourth, fifth, sixth ray, just for those who are playing and mastering alchemy. I mean, I'm using words that relate to that. But what you're going to find is if you can begin to recognize this is not my movie, and I'm the creator, and I have choice to experience my movie differently. Now, I'm not being cute with those three words, observer, creator, and the creation that I'm experiencing. That's the game. You're becoming conscious of the game. And if you can begin to recognize, I don't want to play this game anymore, the one of the simple tools, let me do this. Uh, Vita's going to have my head. Go to Mastering Alchemy, go to Essential Tools, go look at how simple choices that are made available to bring into your conscious awareness and apply as a choice. Simply, is this true? No, put it in a rose, explode the rose, walk away, and you're going to begin to find that I've created a pattern that allows me to step out of what I've been experiencing all my life. The biggest challenge has been I don't know how to get out of this. My mother dominates me, my sister hates me, my ex-husband is mean to me, type of thing. Mostly we don't know how to get out of it. So some of those free tools and points were mastering alchemy. And again, I am and I'm not selling you mastering alchemy if it's not your thing. The question is, how do I get out of repetitive patterning? And there is ways to do that. And you're going to start to find 2026 is going to dissolve the intensity of a lot of that repetitive pattern. And you're also going to begin to find more light to look at. And by giving attention to what you want, what you don't want is going to fall away. Now, are you going to come back to me and say, you said, and I'm real still angry? If you come back and say that, I'm going to agree with you. Yeah, you're still angry. Did you follow the patterning of taking a breath, stepping back, stepping into I'm okay, and allowing that to be not okay? Because the next time it has a possibility to come up, it will not necessarily come up. Is this instantaneous if I do it once and it's all done? No, because what happens often is I want this to be true, but I don't believe it's going to be true. But I'll try it anyway, and then I'll see if I can prove it to myself. If it comes up again, obviously it wasn't true. Now, if you enter into stepping out of what you don't want from that perspective, you didn't step out. You just tried to prove that it was going to not be there when I went looking for it. So pay attention to how you construct your creation, creator, that you wish to wander around in to experience what you have created. And then be the observer. Am I getting what I want? Hope that helps.
Jim, we're getting a lot of good questions here, and some of them are duplicates. So I just want to let you all know that like I did with the previous question, I may paraphrase. Yours may be answered in somebody else's question. In other words. So, Jim, this next one is from Daily. Lately, I wake up in the middle of the night feeling jagged energy running through my body, and I can only go to sleep after grounding, using the rose tool, etc. Is there anything I can do prior to falling asleep to avoid this altogether? And Jim, I wonder if this is an example of the high voltage that you mentioned.
I would say yes and no. The yes part of it is in that dream space, there's a lot of clearing that's happening. And and it's passing through the bodies, all of the bodies. And but where I hold that I don't believe this, I'm not okay, and I want to argue with it or I want to hide and run, that's a erratic vibration that just begins to pop up and creates that wobble, creates that uncomfortableness. And it may be that level, Roxanne just pointed out, that level of electricity you're running in the dreams, in the sleep space, actually has more room to anchor than to anchor into your space because you're not sitting there in your 3D walking around day-to-day moment. You're asleep. And so the attention point in the dream is much more limited than you're walking around paying attention to everything going on. And so the electricity is amplifying, resonating in the nervous systems. And when I say nervous systems, I'm talking about, no, let me keep it that way. Nervous system, physical body nervous system. Um, so I would say go to bed with the intention of waking up and having a great night's sleep. Waking up, going to bed, I'm going to have a good night's sleep. Wake up in the morning, and first thing you say is, I had a good night's sleep. Second thing you say, this is going to be a great day, and then step into it. You're on mute.
Thank you. Hold on. There. Okay, so this question is Melinda sent this one in. She just joined level 2. How does the fourth, fifth, and sixth rays help me to step out of my uncertainty?
Sure, great question. Everything is created from the rays of creation. The creator basically said, here's the here's the here's the canvas, and here's the paints, and here's the things. What's your idea? Rays of creation. The fourth ray these rays build universes. But when you bring them down to, I need to have a tiny paintbrush to paint a flower, fourth ray works. Fourth ray basically says, what would you like me to do? And you say, I would like to create. And the minute you say, I would like to create, the fourth ray simply assembles what you wish to create. Now, it also assembles what you don't wish to create because you are not saying, I want to create it, but you are saying it pretty loud. I am angry at. Well, that works as a creation, the universe says. What you put your attention on, law of attraction, I will provide for you. Fourth ray says, okay, if you want to be really angry at, great, I'll assemble that for you. I hate them. I never want to talk to them again. Blah, blah, blah. You know that story. Fourth ray says, no problem. I'll put it together. What people don't understand in 3D is they also can say to the fourth ray, I'm done with this. Would you simply disassemble that hatred, anger, resentment that I've created? Fifth ray is interesting. It's a workbench in a manner of speaking. You get to put what you want to take apart on the workbench and say, I don't have any value for this, and it takes it apart. The reverse is kind of from the sixth ray, it's like, let's call that the library in the sky. And you say, I would like to create this wonderful experience, this wonderful dinner party. You bring it down to the fifth ray, you look at it, do I have all the pieces to my wonderful dinner party? And then you say, yes, this is what I want. Fourth ray says, great. And it assembles it. Now, if you can allow that simple definition of fourth, fifth, sixth ray, and you start to use it in everything we've been just talking about, I would like to let go of my anger or my resentment and do it from a very present time, coherent space. Not like, oh, please, I want to get rid of this. That doesn't really work well. Get congruent. Just simply, I don't want, I would like to let go of this. Does this have any value in my life? Being angry at my mother, who in fact died 30 years ago, any value at all carrying this around right now? And most likely the answer is no. Fine, let me check it back into the library because maybe somebody else wants this, but I no longer want this. If you can just play with that construct, you understand how this assembly and disassembly of this third dimensional game in the very simple way plays out. And if you can allow it to be simple and own that, I would like to let go. I have no value for. Check it back into the library. Play with that from that silly little simple construct. And I suspect you will be amazed that the other 100,000 people who have wandered through mastering alchemy have been.
Jim, this next question, Kelly and Pam have it, so I'm paraphrasing here, mostly Pam's question. 2025 was a very disruptive year. Although the disruption is necessary and has been uncomfortable to go through, I found the courage to push through. Will 2026 be more of the same? And can you give me one thing to focus on to help smooth the waves in 2026?
Yeah, I just gave you an hour's worth of what to focus on. But simply, basically, this aspect of there is light coming in, I'm fine. There's light coming in that's disrupting the shadows. If you can allow that to be a conscious understanding, when something is disruptive, you have room to step back and kind of watch it begin to fall apart. Now, a lot of what you're really holding your attention on in 3D has absolutely nothing to do with you. If you really get quiet and you look at all the politics, the economics, the climate changes, and so many things. So, do I have snowstorms occasionally? Is there floods occasionally? Is there something that affects my IRS statement occasionally? Yes. But are you really living in all that drama in your life, or are you observing all that drama that is in and around your life? And if you can make the distinction that I am not what I'm observing and allow that to be, you basically pull your energy out of supporting the game and it begins to dissolve that much more. It's the old, the emperor doesn't have any clothes on and everybody goes into agreement and walks away and the emperor's standing there naked with nobody supporting them anymore. Expands that concept over everything, not just current politics, but that's what you're watching. The current structure of 3D all by itself is collapsing under its own weight. And it's collapsing because so much of those who are holding on to a lot of fear are arguing for their control, their power, their need to be in charge because they're terrified of what they would be if they didn't have all that control to play with in their life. Allow the emperor to be the emperor and walk away. And you're going to find that in a great way, and I'm not talking politics, I'm talking across the board, you're going to watch the weight of the third dimension begin to dissolve because nobody's giving attention to it, or less and less attention. 2026 is going to be of fascinating. There's a word I would suggest. Can you step back, observe from fascination and curiosity rather than putting your finger into it and just kind of shake your head in like, whoa, that's amazing. Walk away. Just by treating it as fascinating rather than throwing a rock at it, you've just stepped out of the game, and the game has one more thread removed from its existence.
Jim, this next question is from Tara, who's in level 2, and she's asking a question that many people that go through Mastering Alchemy have. So I have found that I'm forgetting things, and my brother is worried about, funny enough, Alzheimer's or dementia. I've tried to explain it to him, but we're in two different paths. Mine is Mastering Alchemy, his is Wicca. How do I ease his worries?
Uh, in a way,
You don't.
you don't. It's not your responsibility to fix him in his precision of what his opinion is of you. Now, that doesn't mean disown your brother, don't care, don't love him. None of that. It just simply says, I'm fine where I am and I'm comfortable with it. And I understand you have a different opinion, but your opinion, as much as I appreciate you having an opinion, your opinion in my space is something just that basically is a worry in my space. So I'm going to stop worrying about your opinion and let's not have that conversation. And as long as you're seeing me being fine, I'm fine. Something to that effect. All you're doing is giving him permission and room to not, and although he still will, but at the same time, you're basically creating that space of not allowing him to be so important that it influences, in this category, your choices of well-being. And let me be clear, go to the doctor. I mean, dementia and Alzheimer's in a 60, 70-year-old body is a real physiological experience created from 50, 60, 70 years of living in this body. So be real clear. I'm not saying there is no dementia and there's no Alzheimer. What I'm really saying is that is not necessarily what is going on as you are forgetting strings of your memory.
Jim, this next one, two people have Heather in level 2 and Jackie in level 3. Questions about health. Can the light be used to heal the nervous system? And can these new energies allow the release of health conditions that are not wanted?
The answer is yes to both. The light is very much what it was said all along. This is a very electrical year. That electricity, electromagnetism is now running into the nervous system to bring about consciousness where you have lost, bag over your head, consciousness of who you are. Second half of that question.
Sorry, that it was two people asking the similar question about how do I heal my health?
Oh, health, physical. Mhm. So this is a yes and no answer, and it's a function of how you hold your belief system. Health, physical health to a great extent starts as a spiritual, I'm okay, and somebody says you're not okay, and it drops into from spiritual into mental, and you believe you're not okay. And then it becomes an uncomfortable emotion. And then that electromagnetic field of I'm not okay, I'm not okay, I'm not okay drops into a physical space in the body and becomes a very uncomfortable thing. It's I'm in ease. Somebody mentally says you're not okay. I drop into dis, big hyphen, ease. And then immediately I go into, oh my God, this isn't good. And now I'm in dis, the hyphen just got a lot smaller, ease. And then I realize that my shoulders are still up around my neck and I have pain in my body because it's no longer aligned because I'm holding a statement of I'm not okay. And the hyphen goes away and it becomes disease, the lineage of the word. You can basically make a decision and let go of a lot of these patterns that we've been talking about this whole hour. As you let go of these patterns, have you ever watched somebody find a new truth where they've been holding on to an old truth? And all of a sudden they realize, they say to you, well, this happened. And you go, no, it didn't happen that way. This is what happened. And they go, oh, wow, that's such a relief. And their shoulders drop and their body relaxes and their pain goes away. It's a mental image picture that you hold electromagnetically held in the physical body, interfering with the flow of everything in the body, and it begins to become a dis-ease, an unease, a dysfunctional experience. So letting go of the mental emotional field, and particularly because where I'm explaining it, it's going to be amplified in this next year. A lot of those aches and pains may literally just disappear from your reality. And what's nice about aches and pains disappearing, and you know this, you've had a headache and it's a really bad headache, and then the headache goes away and you forget you ever had a headache. Somebody says 10 minutes later, how's your headache? Oh, forgot all about it. That's exactly the process of I let my mother go and I'm okay. And there's a breath and an exhale and a relaxation in the body. And all of a sudden, the arm begins to move and the pain in the knee doesn't hurt anymore. Now, is that going to be a 100% recipe for fixing this? Maybe, maybe not. There's no sale here. I'm not selling you anything. We're just going for a walk. So it may work well, but it's a function of do you believe it when you can get to that point of exhaling and letting it go.
Jim, this next question is from Anna. You said you're not the movie. Does that mean I'm not my history? Would that mean I, would that mean to no longer identify with my past and therefore my personality?
No. Yes, great question. So here we are. We're going, how do you wish to perceive it? Do you wish to perceive from the third dimensional platform everything that I've lived in to this moment and then continue? Or do you wish to believe, because you wouldn't be on this call if you didn't already believe, that there's something more happening and that there is an alignment that I can step into that holds well-being and joy and beauty and laughter and smile? You wouldn't be here if you didn't believe there was an alignment of energy that is based on love and intelligence and joy and happy. And so if you continue to perceive from that third dimensional space and argue with, you will get your third dimensional space. If you step into this fifth dimensional space and you bring your attention more to joy and happy and ease and comfort, and you start to narrow your focus into what do I want versus what don't I want, you're going to start to find that the body smooths out and a lot of the memories that you've held your attention on dissipate. You're fine. You're just simply getting rid of that part of the movie that doesn't support you where you're sitting here in this present time moment. All of those experiences were in previous, past, present time moments. The only place you exist and you create is in this present time moment. No, this present time moment. No, this present time moment. See, those first two are already gone. So what you hold your attention on is how the energetic begins to respond to you. One of the distortions in 3D is I have to go to them to be told I'm okay. That's what they told me to do. So that must be true. But in fifth dimensional space, where you're sitting, all of you, most all of you right here, is everything comes to you when you're in present time and in well-being. It's how it works. Now, do you choose to believe that or not? That's the place where it does. If you believe it is or you believe it is not, you're correct. Period. Nothing else to say. So if I can choose to believe, now this is where the value of taking a breath and in present time, the heart's going to tell you who you are. So if I choose to hear that, gee, everything comes to me when I get quiet and I get into joy and happy and beauty, I go for a walk and I look at the flowers and I enjoy the trees and the day is really pleasant, like this walk we're on right here. And all of a sudden, you mean if I can believe this is how I can have my life, this is the life that comes to me? Yes. Now I'm having a really interesting moment because somebody that I kind of watch every once in a while is Bashard, Daryl. And I'm finding his beings are sitting here, right here, kind of talking as I'm talking to you. It's like, well, this is strange. This is a new experience, but I'm just kind of sharing with you. This is very funny. So I bump into all kinds of new things along this path. Thank you very much. So I hope this is being helpful. It's all about you. The day is dawning. The light is coming in. The shadows are disappearing. You have a moment to take a breath in present time, step back, and decide, do I want to go down this path or do I want to go down this path? Choose. Maybe two or three more questions, Rox. I don't want to keep everybody here. You're muted. See how psychic I am? That's because she's in the other room.
Okay, so this one is from Amanda. Why is the color blue or ice blue relevant? Is it something that's important to bring into our awareness or run it in our contemplations or creations?
What's the prominent color on the planet? Blue. Your frequencies are set, don't talk into this. They're set in a very neutral vibrational universe construct where blue plays a predominant background of the canvas. And so the story is written on this canvas, and don't try to talk more into this. That color blue allows for your creations to move around as we have been experiencing the creations. The color blue is in the process of being amplified and shifted somewhat. Just hear that as what I said, not anything that's magical or overly important. And so but what it is doing as the blue shifts, it's you're standing on a platform in your movie, 3D movie, and now you're being given a choice right here in this conversation to just move over to another platform. Just would you like to perceive from happy, joy, excitement, beauty, kindness, gratitude? Or would you like to stay over here on this platform arguing with anger, rage, resentment, jealousy, and they're bad, what's going on? I don't have any control. Choose. The energetic of this 2026 is beginning to be very loosely constructed that the shift over to well-being is here. Those of you who've been playing and mastering alchemy, we've been shifting into this octave. And what is an octave? It's just a leap up. And it goes from third dimensional space into joy and ease and beauty and buoyancy. And it's a very nice day, kind of where we're walking. And I like me. This platform presents very differently than the one of the movie that you have been bringing to a conclusion.
Jim, this one is from Connie, who's in level 2. In a recent podcast, you spoke about segmentation, 3D, 5D. Do you have any further understanding to share?
Well, there's a lot to this, but it is exactly that. You're right at a place. Here you are, director of your movie. Do you continue the movie in 3D, which is dismantling and falling apart? So this whole nature of what you see in front of you, that grab for power, that fear of losing control, that fear of domination. Now, all of that is Atlantean. We can touch on that, but it's all basically from the Atlantean construct. They constructed with light into form, and at the numbers of patterns through Atlantis, it began to be something where power over started to come into play. And a lot of the beings that are playing in this authoritative nature, keep it simple, don't talk into it. Look at the politics of the world, and there they are. They're holding threads of Atlantean construct, and they're running their lives from those prominent threads. Not good, not bad. And so, but what's happening is as the day is dawning, see, what I didn't say this earlier, we're in cycles and top of cycles. We're in that 27,000 year cycle, which takes you into the aging of Aquarius and Pisces and moving into through the constellation equinoxes. But there's a 12,000 year cycle that we're playing in right now that kind of demonstrates like a pendulum. And it demonstrates like night and day. And so we're coming out of that night swing of the pendulum back into the day swing of the pendulum. I'm using references to make a point, not trying to tell a truth of a day and night. But all of a sudden, the light is shining into the shadows. Does that make any sense? The night is basically no longer, the monster under the bed is turning out to be an old blue towel, and it never was a monster in the first place. That's the space that we're moving through. 5D, well-being, joy, respect, dignity, co-creation, the place where you have fear of engaging with others because they may find out you're not okay, whatever format you can treat, that does not exist in 5D. You co-create, you laugh together, you have the great dinner parties where you make fun of one another and everybody laughs and it's enjoyable. And that was the best night I've had for a long time, you say, as everybody walks out the door. That's the fifth dimensional space, if you will allow it to be. And Rox, you know what? I think that's a good place to stop.
Ah,
But
okay.
I don't want to spend your entire day here. There's still 600 people on the call. I think there was 1,600 people that will listen to this. Now, let's just kind of go our way here at the end of the moment. Nice walking with you. Hope there was some value. Hear what was said. Believe what you would like to believe. What you heard that doesn't resonate, let it go. My task is not here to tell you a story of truth and beware. It's a story of opportunity to choose for yourself. And that's as far as I can walk with you at this moment. But let's play again soon. Go away, enjoy your day. Much love, blessings. I appreciate you.